Hi everyone, welcome back to PRAKASAM tutorials. Here I am going to discuss about concept of random variable. What is random variable and what are the examples of the random variable? So first, what is random variable concept? Let us try to understand this concept with the help of a simple practical example. So that is the practical example of the random variable is consider an experiment of car Consider an experiment of car race. In this particular experiment, the desired outcome is the name of the person who is winning the race. All the possible outcomes of the experiment constitute the sample space capital S, and each and every outcome must be written by lambda suffix I. In the car race experiment, lambda suffix I represents the names, the persons driving the cars. If a real number x of lambda I is given to each possible outcome of the experiment. So in this experiment, this representation is called a random variable. And this is the simple practical example of a concept of a random variable. Now I am going to define the definition of the random variable. A random variable may be defined as a rule or functional relationship that assigns real numbers to each possible outcome of a random experiment. And one more definition of the random variable is, in probability, a real valued function. And what are the real valued functions? Real values 1, 2, 3, 4, like that are the real numbers or the real values. In probability, a real valued function defines over the sample space of a random experiment is called a random variable. And one more definition of the random variable, similarly, a random variable is a function that assigns a real numbers to each sample point in the sample space of a random experiment. So this is the definition of the random variable. So the random variables are represented by uppercase letters or bold-space letters. The random variables are represented by uppercase letters or lowercase letters. So now here capital X is the random variable. That random variable is represented by uppercase letter, and the real number x of lambda I are called the values of the random variable. The values of the random variables are represented by lowercase letters. So that is small x, small y, small z, like that. Random variables are represented by uppercase letters, that is capital X, capital Y, capital Z, etc. And values of the random variables are represented by lowercase letters, that is small x, small y, small z, like that. Suppose, for example, consider, that is the definition of the random variable. And next, coming to the example of the random variable. So now here I am considering the example of the random variable is, consider a sample space capital S consisting of a alphabet capital S. So that sample space capital S is equal AEIOU. So now here the outcome of the experiments are AEIOU are the outcome of the experiments. So AEIOU are the ovals. Okay, in this experiment, in this example, so now here in this diagram, this is the real axis and the real numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that are the real numbers, and capital X is the random variable, and outcome of the sample space and outcome of the experiments are AE, IOU are the outcome of the experiment. So now here in this example, we take a random variable capital X in such a way that each outcome of the experiment, that is, what are that outcome of the experiment here? AE, IOU are the outcome of the experiment, that outcome of the experiment corresponds to a real number. The real number may be assigned so as to represent the corresponding number of the particular alphabet. For example, in English alphabets, the letter A is the first letter in English letters. So now here what is the outcome of the sample space? A, E, I, O, U are the outcome of the sample space, and the first outcome is A. In English letters or English alphabets, letter A is the first letter in English letters, and this letter A is assigned to the real number 1. So similarly, in English alphabets, the letter E is the fifth letter in English alphabet. That letter E is assigned to the real number 5. The same process, similarly, the letter I is assigned to the real number 9. Letter O is assigned to the real number 15. And the next outcome, U is assigned to the real number 21. Okay. In this experiment, in this example, thus the random variable X can be considered to a function that maps all the elements of the sample space into a points on the real line. That real line means real axis. And that is one example of a random variable. Next, coming to one more example of the random variable. A typical example of a random variable is the outcome of a coin toss. Consider a probability distribution in which the outcome of a random event are not equally likely to happen. If random variable Y is the number of heads we get from tossing two coins. So tossing two coins, the total number of outcomes of the experiments are 4. The total number of outcomes are 4. And what are the outcome of the experiment from tossing two coins? Head head, head tail head, and tail. So these are the 4 possible outcomes of the total outcome of the tossing two coins. Now here the random variable y defined be 0, 1 or 2. And what is the random variable y? The random variable y is the number of heads we get from tossing two coins. So that random variable y be 0, 1 or 2. And what is the meaning of the y is equal to 0, y is equal to 1 and y is equal to 2, and the random variable y is equal to 0 means probability of getting no heads, and y is equal to 1 mean getting only one head, and y is equal to 2 mean getting two heads. Now the random variable y is defined as the number of heads we get from tossing two coins. Okay, tossing two coins, the total outcome of the experiments are 4, that are tail, head, head and head. Next, find out the probability of getting 0 heads, probability of getting 1 head, probability of getting 2 heads. So according to definition of the probability is equal number of favorable outcomes by total number of outcomes of the experiment. So the probability of getting no head, that is probability of y is equal to 0, number of favorable outcomes. So probability of getting no heads, only one combination is there. And what is that combination? No heads, tail. In that no heads. So the number of favorable outcomes are 1 and the total number of the outcome of the experiment is 4. So the probability of getting no heads, that is probability of y is equal to 0 is 1 by 4. Similarly, the probability of getting 2 heads. So now here in this experiment, probability of getting 2 heads, the number of favorable outcomes are 1. Head. head, that favorable outcome is 1 and the total outcome of the experiments are 4. So the probability of getting 2 heads, that is probability of y is equal to 2. Probability of y is equal to 2 is equal to 1 by 4. So similarly, the probability of getting 1 head. Okay. So getting 1 head, the possible outcomes or the favorable outcomes are 2. Getting 1 head, the favorable outcomes or possible outcomes are 2. That are head tail and tail head. And the total outcomes are 4. So therefore the probability of getting 1 head is probability of y is equal to 1 is equal 2 by 4, which is equal to 1. This is one more example of the random variable. This is the concept of a random variable with example.